What is going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and of course, Kizuna Clash is now live. Once again, remember that this is not a super boss Kizuna, so you don't have to worry about, the 15-star difficulty and building a whole bunch of teams. You just need to build two teams, one versus the Dex variation, one versus the Psy variation. So if you want a bit more details in regards to that, go check out my prep video. I did make a slight error in that prep video versus the Dex variation. I forgot the fact that there is the death hit and the BLACKBEARD that I had as the captain for that team negates damage reduction on your side of the field, so you do have to change things up a little bit, and I'll show you guys a team that I've created in order to take on the fight, and we'll kind of discuss, replacements of characters and stuff like that. This Kizuna doesn't seem ultra difficult. The only real thing that I found to be the major issue so far is that finding Vasco Shot friend captains has been very hard. It definitely seems like a lot of people have not pulled for Vasco Shot, which I do not blame people for doing so. Shout out to those that did, because it's going to make a hell of a lot of an easier time for everyone else out there. So trying to find Vasco Shot friend captains is like the only difficult part of this Kizuna Clash, in all honesty. Alright, so as for this Kizuna Clash, when we go over to the exchange, we can go ahead and have a look at what characters or what items are available this time around. So if we go over to the treasure list, yeah, this first box is pretty bad, but of course the Kizuna insignia there that you see right at the bottom, that's going to be important because for those of you who don't know, Kizuna insignia is the currency that you use. If you go in the bottom left hand corner to the Kizuna shop, you have to use Kizuna insignia in order to purchase older super evolution skulls. So it is kind of important that you are trying to acquire as many of those as possible, which will allow you to super evolve some of the older characters. Now, of course, not a lot of these characters are actually worth it, but it is what it is. However, the first box doesn't look too interesting. The second box does have a purple crystal skull. The third box also has a purple crystal skull. I'm just going to skip the first three boxes, honestly, because these purple skulls you can buy from the Rayleigh Bazaar, which is not that big of a deal. I would much prefer to use the scarce amount of Kizuna tickets you'll get this time around compared to a super boss from boxes 4 onwards. So box 4 is where you will acquire one of the super evolution skulls for Blackbeard. Then box 5 gets you another one, and then box 6 also gets you one, as well as the Legend Kuzan. So this Kuzan is actually V3 Kuzan. So let me go ahead and pull them up real quick. I'm pretty sure it is... let me go ahead and have a look. Turn off all these filters, of course. Kuzan, which is this one right here. So this one says, yeah, he's the one that is from Pirate Rumble. So he will evolve and then super evolve into this Kuzan right here. This Kuzan in Rumble is actually not terrible for a 20 cost character, and the fact that he is available for free is actually pretty good. So he will evolve into this one right here. But his effects aren't really that good in normal content, strength, dex, and quick like orb stuff, and so it's okay that he's going to be available to evolve into this specific Kuzan, because in Rumble he's actually pretty decent. Okay, so not too bad there. So make sure to go ahead and get all the way to box 6 to acquire that copy of Kuzan. Of course, you won't get like a bunch of dupes or anything, but the fact that that is available there for those that don't have him, it's actually pretty cool, because he is actually pretty hard to get a hold of considering he is a Rumble legend. So honestly, not too bad. Once you finish box 6, you make it to box 7, and once you reach box 7, you're essentially done with the Kizuna Clash. So trying to get all of the crystal skulls for Blackbeard is going to be the ultimate goal of this Kizuna Clash. Hopefully we can go ahead and get there. So anyways, with that being said, let's go ahead now and get into the teams that I have for this upcoming Kizuna. So jumping into the first boss is going to be against the Dex variation of Blackbeard, and for this fight, Strength, Dex, and Int characters are the ones that are going to be receiving the cooldown. Things to note though, on stage 2, you are inflicted with 5 turns of bind on your crewmates, as well as there is going to be poison on your team, as well as a 25% health cut. So having a support or some kind of ship or something to remove that bind is going to be kind of key, because you kind of want to save the Vasco Shot effects for the final stage, just because of the nature of the way that Vasco Shot works. So on this team, we're using the Strength Blackbeard still. It is pretty replaceable, not really needed, and the support of Lafitte will help us get around that. Now, to tank all the death hits on the final stage, we're going to be using Barto Cavendish, because they provide like really good damage reduction effects. Plus, they also give our driven characters a substantial attack boost too. And then on the stage 3, we are using the Saint Peter to remove all of the damage threshold, and also enhances any attack boost that's on our side of the field. So like that felt like a pretty good fit to the team, especially because I think all the 5 elders are boosted characters in this event, so it just kind of works out pretty well actually. And then of course we have Vasco Shot, which essentially deals with all of the Rainbow Shield for us, which is fantastic. Once you get deeper into this event, your left hand side will be inflicted with Bind, which is why we have Doc Q on the right hand side of the team. So you would activate Doc Q first. That will remove the bind on the left hand side of the field, and then you can use your Vasco Shot effects to remove the stun, remove the % damage reduction on the enemy side of the field. And then in terms of the damage, as we mentioned, we have Barto Cavendish for a really good attack boost and the damage reduction effects. Vasco Shot provides an orb boost because he changes the effects that are inflicted on our team into an orb boost instead. We do have the Perona, which can give us a pretty good chain boundary effect, and her captain ability is like solid, it's okay. And then as we said with the St. Peter, he's here to just basically remove the damage threshold, so Peter can be replaced with essentially anyone that removes threshold. Perona as the captain isn't really required either, you just need someone that can boost the team. And she does boost driven characters, which of course the whole team is going to be driven. So as long as you're using the Vasco Shot friend captain and you have ways to get around the bind and the damage threshold on the final stage, the rest of the fight is pretty easy. Moving on to the final variation, which is versus the Psy variation. Now for this team, you see that we are using the Dreadnought Saber ship, which does end of turn damage. My one is at level 12, which does give us a minor attack boost to Driven and Powerhouse. Alternatively, if you don't want to use the end of turn damage ship, you can use another character on your team that either removes 10 turns of resilience or has an effect that does end of turn damage. Technically speaking, with Vasco Shot, with the way that he is designed, he does inflict the ignite on the enemy side of the field, which means that when you actually like kill the enemy, or when you get them down to 1 HP, the enemy will perform their action and then the ignited status will trigger doing damage to them. However, that does require you to have substantial damage reduction to ensure that you don't die from whatever death hit that they have, because if you activate a delay on the enemy side of the field, they will react to it. They will go ahead and remove all beneficial effects on your side of the field. I believe it means that they will remove the delay on themselves, so just be very cautious of that. Another thing you have to be cautious of in stage 3 is that the enemy will blow away 2 of your characters for 2 turns. This is why I'm using Fire Tank Pirates, because they do resist blow away as a captain. Very, very important that we have that. And then the rest of the squad is just kind of like applying as much damage as possible. We do have a couple of supports, or I say a couple, we have a lot of supports on this team that are removing bind. Realistically though, Vasco Shot does remove a ton of the bind by himself. We also use his super on stage 2 to get rid of the bind on that stage, or the damage reduction I believe it was. And then like we have a lot of bind removal supports on this team, but because of the way that Vasco Shot works, you don't need probably as many as what we are using, but ultimately it does get the job done, which is nice. So that's pretty much it. Thank you so much for watching the video though. If you did enjoy it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like, and if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.